status quo the Supreme Court has ordered that should be maintained on Essar Steel sale. Big news. Supreme Court has actually halted ArcelorMittal's payment to lenders for Essar Steel. Do remember the NCLAT had given the nod for ArcelorMittal to acquire Essar Steel and pay off that mammoth debt as well of more than 40,000 crore rupees to the lenders consortium. SBI was the biggest lender, but this is a blow coming in for the lenders, no doubt. Once again, their money is stuck in a limbo. Abhimanyu was at the courtroom for the same. Abhimanyu, what exactly did the Supreme Court say?
Well, the Supreme Court has imposed a status quo till further orders, which practically means that the March 8th order of NCLAT, in which they had approved ArcelorMittal's bid for Essar Steel, no distribution of funds can take place with respect to that order, since a status quo has been ordered, which practically means that the entire payment has been halted as of now, as per the stay imposed by the Supreme Court. Additionally, any further orders will now emanate from the Supreme Court itself. In this regard, the petitions in the apex court were filed by SBI, the Committee of Creditors, and ICICI. They had challenged the distribution of payments in the entire bidding process, in the entire process of payments which were to be initiated from the side of ArcelorMittal, and the entire process has been halted as of now. The detailed order will follow, but this certainly means that no distribution of funds, no distribution of money can take place. No payment can be made from the side of ArcelorMittal in its bid for Essar Steel.
Okay, so the battle now continues from NCLAT. It's now gone to the Supreme Court, because do remember the Ruyas had moved against this order and they'd gone to the Supreme Court, and now it's a blow for the lenders, for ArcelorMittal as well, but more so for the lenders, because it certainly does extend the entire process of recovering dues. Abhimanyu, what exactly did the Supreme Court say when maintaining a stay? Did they say anything about a timeline or when the next hearing could be for this case?
Well, no timeline has been listed so far. It was a short and concise order. The detailed order in this case would follow, but as of now, as the apex court said in as many words, the status quo would remain, which practically means that the entire payment process has been halted as per the apex court order till further orders come from the Supreme Court or any further directions are issued with respect to the distribution of funds on the basis of appeals filed against the NCLAT order by the Committee of Creditors, SBI and ICICI.
Okay, I think we're joined by Mr. H.P. Ranina as well. Okay, all right. In just a bit, we should be getting in some more expert opinions. But yes, just a reminder for our viewers, back on 8th March itself, the NCLAT had approved ArcelorMittal's bid for Essar Steel, which was a big relief for the creditors as well. And do remember, this has been one of the longest running cases in the IBC. And not to mention, of course, the debt figure as well was mammoth, almost more than 42,000 crore rupees. Some of the lenders to Essar Steel include SBI, ICICI Bank. So I think if I could just request my producer to pull up the stock price of SBI and see if there is any sort of a reaction on the stock price, because do remember SBI is one of the biggest, is the bank that has the biggest exposure among all the other lenders. And yes, you can see on your screens there's a sharp drop in the stock price as well of SBI that has come in on account of this further delay that has taken place before the lenders can finally attempt recovering their money from for the Essar Steel debt figure. Do remember Essar Steel does have a debt figure of more than 50,000 crore rupees that it failed to pay. It was sent for debt resolution back in June 2017. It's April 2019, and now Essar Steel has actually knocked on the doors of the Supreme Court. It was the NCLT, then the NCLAT, and now the Supreme Court. So I think it's going to go on for a little longer before lenders can finally see some monies being recovered via the IBC process. So for now, it's put sort of a stay, or it's halted Arcelor's payment to lenders. I think the NCLAT had ordered that Arcelor pay about 42,000 crore rupees. That's been put on a hold at this point of time. And yeah, I think it's important to note the other development as well.
Yeah,
that had taken place.
There was a development with respect to the lenders as well. But before we do that, I think Utkarsh is also joining us with an update for Jet Airways. Utkarsh, what's the latest on that front?
So in fact, today if you look at Jet Airways, there are only 9 aircraft which are working, and we're talking about 7 ATRs. So ATRs do not really operate from places like Bombay and Delhi. So only 2 or 3 aircraft which are working at this point of time, and that is why massive cancellation. In fact, I'll ask my cameraman to really zoom into the Jet Airways counter, and you can really see so many people right now stranded here trying to really look for refunds. Now, bigger point is that Jet Airways at this point of time does not even have the money for refunds. So the refunds are stuck at this point of time, and that is what we are talking about. A lot of people, in fact, you were being told that around at 7:30 in the morning, the refund counter was closed. As we speak at this point of time, at 1:30, the ground people, the groundsmen, the ground handlers will be doing protest at the Bombay airport. Remember what the pilots have said. The pilots have said that on the 15th of April, they'll be meeting again and taking a call. And what we have been told is that the pilots are also very serious about the fact that if they do not get their dues paid, there might be, they might not really fly. Remember that they have been not flying from 1st April, then they extended the date to 5th April, and then 15th April. At this point of time, it is really a big mess here at the Mumbai airport, given the fact that there are no really answers to the questions. Remember about refunds, there is no refunds Jet Airways has been able to give, given the fact that they do not even have money, and they're on a cash and carry mode. So remember that there is no credit they're getting from Indian Oil as well. So they're working on all the working capital they have, and that only those many flights are taking off.
All right, Utkarsh, thanks a lot for that. I think it's important to address the story with respect to Essar Steel. Once again, we're joined by Mr. H.P. Ranina on the phone line. Mr. Ranina, you could say that this now officially is going to become, or in fact it already is, the longest running case under the IBC. But the Supreme Court has maintained a status quo. Would you say this has come in as a blow for the lender community, to a certain extent for Arcelor as well?
Sorry, I didn't get you.
So I just wanted to know, what do you make of this? I mean, it's another delay in the entire resolution process for Essar Steel, is it not?
Absolutely, but this is normal. What can you do? I mean, this is the Supreme Court has to give a hearing to all sides and then take a decision. So that delay is inevitable in that sense. And I think in the next few months, in few weeks rather, because the court will close for vacation around the 9th of May. So I hope that before the 9th of May, some final decision is reached.
Okay, Nilang Desai is also with us. Let's get in his perspective as well. Mr. Desai, status quo maintained by the Supreme Court, how big a blow it is to lender? How long do you think now the process will take, given that there's still no decision after all these years on Essar Steel?
Well, in terms of timing, I think the Supreme Court has been very generous with its time and, really given priority to these big IBC cases. So in case that continues and the court is able to give that priority, it may not be, as long as people might fear. And I do think that, the timing of the Supreme Court, in fact, of all the courts, in this process has been incredibly swift and faster than any other jurisdiction, frankly, I think, given the amount of litigation this case is involved. As to the status quo, I see no way out, because there are some very important and critical issues which have arisen in this process. And I think the judgment of the NCLAT and NCLAT holding, all creditors, irrespective of the security at the same level, is an interesting take. And I think there are bankers out there who may find that a bit of a difficult pill to swallow. And if that's the case, this issue needs to be settled once and for all at the Supreme Court level. So one way or the other, there's certainty on this issue as to whether or not me as a senior secured and you as a poorly secured should get the same in a CRP process or not. It's an important question to be settled.
Okay, I'm going to come to you.
Frankly, the operational creditor point, right, about how much you distribute to them. Is it 5%, 10%, 15%? How is that number, introduced? Basically, everyone in the industry needs certainty on exactly what financial creditors get, what secured creditors get, and what operational creditors get. Because only when there's certainty can the market work in an efficient manner.
Undoubtedly, this case has set a lot of precedents as well for future IBC cases. I'm going to come to you on that. But Mr. Ranin, I just wanted to ask you, like you said, in the mid of May, or the beginning of May actually, is when the Supreme Court is going to go away on holiday. Don't you think that such a long-drawn process sometimes just exhausts the entire IBC procedure? Because it was in June 2017 that Essar Steel was first referred to the NCLT.
Yes, it does. But this is something which cannot be avoided. Of course, if the petitioners or the government feels that there is an urgency, then there would be a vacation bench of the Supreme Court which can also continue with the hearing. But normally it's the same bench which has to hear the matter. So if the judges are who are currently hearing this matter on the vacation bench, then possibly they will continue to hear it even during the vacation. But otherwise the matter will get adjourned to the first week of July, when the court will once again reopen. But this, as I said, is inevitable in a sense, though it does have a problem with the IBC process, which is meant to be expeditious in nature. But when you go to an appeal to the Supreme Court, then that process to some extent has a setback.
Right, earlier this month or perhaps a few weeks back, we did, get an update with respect to how, fresh guidelines would be issued to public sector banks with respect to NPA resolution. And now, events like these happen when the Supreme Court has to intervene, when the cases have been dragged for so long. How are things likely to pan out? Because clearly there is still no clarity, because after the Feb 12th circular was put down by the Supreme Court, ruled down by the Supreme Court, and now things like these are happening where they have to intervene and overrule what the NCLAT has also said. What is the fate likely to be of these companies and of lenders at large?
Well, this issue comes up because, people go through the process of going in appeal. Different people go in appeals. So this is something over which you have no control. It's, some person who is aggrieved by the order of the NCLT will go in appeal. Now, if an appeal is filed in the Supreme Court has to hear the matter. And the Supreme Court, therefore, is not bound by the time limits laid down under the IBC. So these are the problems which we have to face, in every respect. It happens even in infrastructure projects. There's nothing one can do about it. And this is the problem. The judicial process has to take its due course. And IBC, therefore, the time limits laid down will get extended. Now, as far as the circular is concerned, that is for the RBI to come up with a fresh circular if they so wish. So far, no decision has been taken, but hopefully they'll do so in the next few days.
Right. Gentlemen, on that note, really appreciate you joining us with your quick take on the newest twist in the Essar Steel saga that has been going on for the last